Language interpreter will be Walter Asewe. And now let's take a look at what's shaping our broadcast at this hour. DNA testing to help identify the victims of Hillside in the Russia Academy has started as the search for the missing pupils continues. The nation observes 3 days of mourning for the Hillside Academy victims. The Kenya and East African community flags are being flown at half-mast.
It is therefore quite sad that the respondent is making a mockery of this court, my lord, and not only this court, but the judiciary as a whole.
Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masangali fails to appear in court a fourth time to explain whereabouts of two siblings and an activist allegedly abducted by the police in Kitengela 2 weeks ago. Welcome to the program. And parents of victims of the tragic Hillside in the Russia Academy fire are disputing the government's preliminary figures, which indicate that up to 17 students remain unaccounted for. Grieving parents who have been unable to locate their children have gathered at the Naromoro mortuary for DNA testing. Today marks the beginning of the DNA analysis process aimed at identifying the remains. We now link up with our reporter Mariam Mujahid, who is on the ground to give us the latest development. Mariam, if you can hear me, can you tell us about the current situation and the latest development on that story?
Thank you, Bentura Kwamboka in studio, but let me switch into Swahili. Niko nje ya makafani ya hospitali ya rufaa ya daraja ya 4 ya Naromoro katika kaunti ya Nyeri, eneo bunge la Nanyuki, mpenzi mtazamaji, na kile ambacho kinafanyika hapa siku ya leo ni kuwa wazazi na familia ya waathiriwa wa moto wa shule ya Hillside and Russia Academy ambayo ilitokea siku ya Alhamisi usiku. Wazazi wamefika hapa, na kile ambacho najua tangu asubuhi, manake tumekuwa hapa tukikita kambi, ni kuwa wazazi ambao wamefika hapa ni wengi sana ikilinganishwa na ile idadi imetangazwa naye Isaac Maura, msemaji wa serikali, akisema kuwa ni takriban wanafunzi 17 hawajulikani waliko, akisema kuwa ni wanafunzi 21 ambao walifariki, huku 19 miili yao ndio imelazwa katika makafani haya ya Naromoro, lakini wanafunzi wawili ambao walifariki walipokuwa wanapokea matibabu katika hospitali ya Odhaya na Mwai hapo juzi, mpenzi mtazamaji, miili yao pia imeletwa hapa kuhifadhiwa. Lakini kile ambacho kinafanyika hapa ni kuwa familia imefika na watakuwa wanachukua chembe za msumbojeni au kipenda DNA kwa miili ya wanafunzi ambao wamelazwa hapa ama wamehifadhiwa, pamoja na chembe za msumbojeni ya wazazi, ili kulinganisha na kubaini na kutambua miili ya wanafunzi 19. Lakini baada ya asubuhi walipokuwa wanamiminika hapa, wazazi walikuwa wanatakiwa wakifika wanapata ushauri wa kisaikolojia, lakini wengi wao walikuwa wanasema hawataki pilika hizo, wakisema kuwa imekuwa ni kama tu danganya toto kutoka kwa serikali. Hawaambii watoto wao walipo, wakiwa na maswali chungu nzima, na wale ambao wanaingia hapa wanataka majibu kutokana na kile ambacho kilifanyika siku ya Alhamisi katika shule ya msingi ya Hillside and Russia Academy. Na kulingana vile nilikuwa nimeingia pale ndani, mpenzi mtazamaji, kama unavyoona niko pale nyuma, hapo nyuma ndio makafani ya Naromoro. Watoto wamelazwa hapo, wazazi pia wako pale ambao watakuwa wanachukuliwa sampuli za DNA, pamoja na wazazi ambao wamefika pale. Familia ambayo imekuwa imewaleta wameambiwa siingie pale, kwa hivyo wako hapa nje. Lakini kile kiko pale ndani ni wazazi wa watoto ambao hawajulikani waliko, na wazazi wale wanasema kuwa ile taarifa ambayo ilikuwa imetolewa na serikali kuwa ni wanafunzi 21 ambao wamefariki huku 17 hawajulikani waliko, wanahisi kwamba ni taarifa hiyo ni ya kupotosha, manake wengi hawajui watoto wao walipo, na wanataka serikali iwe wazi kuhakikisha kuwa wanawaambia ni taarifa gani ama ni idadi ya wanafunzi, na pia wakubali. Wanahisi kwamba kuwa wanajua kuwa watoto wao hawapo, lakini wanataka kujua miili yao iko wapi. Na hii leo shughuli itakuwa inaongozwa naye mwanapatholojia wa serikali Johnson Odoro, ambaye atakuwa tayari wameshafika na watakuwa wanachukua ile msumbojeni wa DNA. Na kwa upande mwingine, mpenzi mtazamaji, tumeona afisa wa DCI ambaye pia ameshafika, atakuwa anatuletea taarifa kuhusiana na kile ambacho kinajiri. Lakini kwa upande wangu, vile niko hapa, nasikia tu kidogo wazazi wanapiga nduru, wanapiga mayowe kwa uchungu, kwa huzuni, wakihisi kwamba ni kama hawaambiwi taarifa ambazo wanahitaji kujua kufikia sasa. Na walikuwa na nukuu matamshi ya naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua siku ya Ijumaa aliposema kuwa ni takriban wanafunzi 70 ambao hawajulikani waliko. Lakini sasa wanahisi kwamba ni kama idadi hiyo ndio sahihi. Lakini hii leo, mpenzi mtazamaji, ndio maana tumekita kambi hapa nje ya makafani ya Naromoro, ambapo tutakuwa tunakufahamisha idadi kamili ya wanafunzi ambao hawajulikani waliko. Ni miili 19 ambayo iko hapa. Je, miili hiyo wazazi hawa watatambua? Na hapo kesho, mpenzi mtazamaji, kwa ni siku ya Jumanne, kutakuwa na ile msumbojeni ambao tayari watakuwa wamechukua hizo chembe watakuwa wanazitambulisha, na familia ama wazazi ambao watakuwa hajapata watoto wao ndio tutakuwa tunakubainisha ni idadi ya familia ngapi ama wazazi wangapi ambao hawajajua ama hawajatambua miili ya watoto wao. Kumbuka kwamba hapa ni miili 19 watoto ambao imehifadhiwa katika makafani ya Naromoro, ambayo ndio makafani mapya bado. Hao ndio watakuwa ni miili ya kwanza kuhifadhiwa katika mochari hii ambayo katika kaunti ya Nyeri. Lakini nitakuwa na kufahamisha mengi hapo baadaye na kuregeshia ndani ya studio. Bentura, chukua usukani.
Well, thank you, Mariam Jahid, for that update, and definitely we'll be getting back to you for updates in our subsequent bulletin. And here in the city center section of university students in Eldoret and Machakos kicked off their strike to agitate for an overhaul of the new university funding model. The University of Nairobi student leader Madzao Roche has called off the demos following a consultative meeting with the stakeholders. And now we are joined live by our reporter Ian Kaitani. Good afternoon, Ian. If you can get to me, kindly bring us up to speed on the latest development on those demos, and perhaps what are some of the yields that came from that meeting with the stakeholders?
Well, thank you very much, Bentura. I am at the Ministry of Education headquarters right here at Jogo House along the Arambe Avenue. And like you've rightly put it, we've seen students from Moi University in Eldoret as well as Machakos University stage demonstrations in regards to the new university funding model. Now, the same demonstrations were expected here in the capital, Nairobi, where the students from the Technical University of Kenya, and the University of Nairobi expected to make their way today to this particular Ministry of Education headquarters right here at Jogo House. But there have been no students, or there have been no demonstrations held here, or students, arriving here to, of course, issue their memoranda to the Ministry of Education officials, and more specifically to the State Department of Higher Education. Now, remember, several universities yesterday issued strike notices insisting that today they will be hitting the streets just to try and ensure that they are heard by the government in regards to the new university funding model, which they say is discriminatory and is overburdening not only to them but also to their parents. Now, a few moments ago, we received, of course, a letter from the president of the University of Nairobi Students Association, that is Madzao Roche, who said, after a consultative meeting with stakeholders, they decided to call off their strike, and they've given the government 14 days to address their concerns. Failure to wish, if they will not be able to reach an amicable solution, then they will be going back to the streets. Now, the Ministry of Education yesterday did issue a guideline saying that they've, formed a committee that will look into the issue of the new university funding model. And just to highlight some of the things that the committee is expected to look at is, the appraisal of the implementation of the new funding model for higher education, as well as evaluation of the effectiveness of the means testing instrument. Now, the means testing instrument has been a bone of contention because students do say that it does not provide a clear outline on how they've gotten to understand or to know the ability of the students or the family to be placed in different cadres, rather bands, because there are 5 bands. And one of the concerns of the students is that the bands should be reduced from 5 to 3. They're saying that those in band 4 and 5 are expected to be, of course, overburdened by loans once they complete their studies. Now, the other thing that the committee is expected to look at is the assessment of the efficiency of the appeals mechanism. Remember, at least 23,000 students did appeal, saying that they were placed in the wrong bands, and that was admitted to by the president as well. Now, they're supposed to also do an analysis of the cost of the programs in the universities, because now, the thing was, there are certain courses. For example, if you go to University of Nairobi and Moi University in Eldoret, the same course, but the cost is different. Why is that the case? So the committee is expected to address that particular concern. But just to brief you on what our students are lamenting in regards to the new funding model is that, for example, the K24 University Students Association did say they want the reduction of the bands, like I said, from the initial 5 to 3. They also want the extension of the loan repayment grace period. Now they say that once someone completes his or her studies, it takes time for them to, of course, get a job with the current economic situation in the country. So they want the government to extend the loan repayment period, as well as, of course, increase in scholarship and reduction of loans, as well as revising the means testing instrument, which, like I say, the committee formed by the CS for Education, that is Julius Migos Ogambe, is expected to look at. Finally, they want the reduction in the interest rates from 4% to 2.5%. So that is the situation. We expected the students here, but now that they've said they will not be engaging in demonstrations until after 14 days, that is the time they've given the government, then we'll be, of course, looking at what will happen from there, because they're saying it is not only a burden to them in terms of loans that they'll be able to repay, but as well in terms of a burden to parents who are expected to pay huge amounts of fees to ensure that their students do get to pursue the courses that they wanted to do. Back to you, Ventura.
Well, thank you, Ian, for that update. And moving on, Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli has, for the 6th time, snubbed summons issued by the High Court requiring him to avail himself before the court over the disappearance of 3 people in Kitengela. His legal team told Justice Lawrence Mugambe that he is currently engaged in operational matters in Wajir. Instead, Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat was sent to court on his behalf.
Orders were issued a while back.
Or disappearance of the officials is at the behest and to punish.
Friend had submitted saying that the mark for the second response.
My Lord, assuming it was Parliament or the Executive ordering for the first respondent to show up for an explanation, my Lord, he will be there on the first day. It is therefore quite sad that the respondent is making a mockery of this court, my Lord, and not only this court, but the judiciary as a whole.
We have been in this matter for long. This, I think, should be the 7th time. We are still looking at the same issue. Because the first order was not complied with. Many other orders came in. They were not. Now we are here the 7th time, trying to find out a way out of this. And we must now be able to come to an end to it. We must find a way out so that we can deal with other issues. Yes, the petitioners have been here before, but I think in terms of this order we have been here many times. This is not the first time, the second time, or the third time. But we definitely agree that we have been here trying to deal with this issue for quite some time now. But I think the court now wants to bring it to an end. We cannot continue like this forever. So you come back at 1 p.m. I'll give my final position on this with regard to the attendance of the AG and the compliance with the orders. But there are also other things that probably I may want to disclose. Yes, because it has not been very easy for me. At 1 p.m. I'll be able to say what it has been.
Well, and with that, we take a breather here at K24 Newscat. We have more stories for you. Stay tuned for that.